Join us for a tour, exterior interior, with the BMW 5 Series facelift, here with the M550i, comparing it to the 540i, and we'll also take the 540i, the inline 6-cylinder, out for a spin here today. So a lot of different 5 Series content to come right here, as you know, in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. The BMW 5 Series facelift here comes with a wider front double kidney, and it leads over directly to the headlamps now. They come standard with LED, optional the adaptive LED matrix light. Then they also have this L daytime running light. And optional the BMW laser light here, signalized by these blue accentuations, and they work even better here with the black package here for the dark menacing front grille. The 550i has a stronger lower air intake, like here, stronger lower bumpers and so on. So already a very sporty look here in the front, especially a great contrast to the white color. The length of 5 Series 4 meters 96, 16 foot 3 or 195 inches. Here with the facelift, just a little bit longer because of stronger overhangs with the new spoilers. And wheels come from 17 to 20 inch. Here the M550i would come standard with 19-inch wheels. Optional then here the 20-inch wheels. You can see the most massive ones, of course, with a really sporty M styling. Also with the M badge right there. As for suspension, a normal 5 Series would come with a standard suspension, an optional adaptive suspension, which is one of the best adaptive suspensions out there. Here the M550i, the M Performance Sporty model, comes automatically with the adaptive suspension, but then is put 10 millimeters lower to get a sportier touch, and also the electronic setup of the dampers is then a little bit stiffer overall. New with the facelift is also that you can get the so-called integral active steering, so the rear axle steering for all models except the true M model. But here the M550i would also be available then with a rear axle steering that gives you more agility, especially at lower speeds, and also reduces the turning circle. And here for this model you can also get the anti-tilt control, so anti-roll control, to keep the car even more upright. Overall, a classic styling here then with the black frames around. So the front grille here is today in black, and here also the frames around. This is this shadow package. The standard here for the M550i would be in this cerium gray color, also for the mirror caps and so on. But you can also vary that for the styling. In general, the 5 Series facelift get these new tail lamps. They are more horizontally drawn and also show this kind of, is it L or C form, something in between, but definitely stresses the width of the vehicle. M550i badge right here, because this M Performance model gets special inside exhaust. The outside here, these trapeze outside stylings of the exhaust tips, it's not fake, it's integrated with the real exhaust, and this is basically now for all the different models. It's just that the M550i has on the inside then this split here from the exhaust, looks a little bit more massive, of course here for the 8-cylinder engine, and a diffuser style here also for a more prominent sporty look. And maybe you've seen it already here, this additional spoiler lip that also comes exclusively for the M550i. And now as a comparison, the 540i, here being the M Sport model, it doesn't look too different here in the lower area, because the M Sport model essentially has the same design clues with the M550i here, with the same spoiler lip and also the air intake. However, here we have the chrome frame around this new double kidney, and again you can go for a shadow package to have it in the black frame, or then the M Performance model would have it in cerium gray, but so you can really depend on just pick it on your liking. This the Phytonic blue color, a very interesting one with a lot of light nuances right there. So as it stands here right now, why not? 19-inch wheels on this one, by the way. These would be the standard wheels for the M550i, and here they are optional. And a 3/4 rear perspective here. There's no additional spoiler lip then for this M Sport package, so I think that's also a cleaner design. In the lower part, in the M Sport package, you also have a diffuser, and then you see here the new trapeze style exhaust tips, but they are once again one form or one unit with the real exhaust. I think a very interesting solution design wise and also functionality wise. The engine we have here in the M550i X-Drive, so all-wheel drive with rear-wheel bias. Here the 4.4 liter V8, 530 horsepower, limited to the sedan, this M Performance version. And this V8 engine is also in the base used for the true M5, and with more horsepower output. And on the other side, there would of course also be the 3 liter 6-cylinder petrol engines, also driving the 540i today, and the 2 liter 4-cylinder petrol engines next to also the 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder diesels, and plug-in hybrid now with the 5 Series. There's the plug-in hybrid for the 2 liter 4-cylinder petrol engine and the plug-in hybrid for the 3 liter 6-cylinder petrol engine. And we've driven the 545e. Yeah, it's always a little bit tough with all these names. So the 6-cylinder plug-in hybrid, we've driven that already, and you can also check out that review on our channel. And under the hood here with our driving test vehicle today, we have the 540i, 3 liter 6-cylinder, 333 horsepower and twin power turbos. So, and this is here very classic engine at BMW, all over the place in so many different models. There's also a reason for that, and I'll tell you more about it when we drive this vehicle later. Now to the interior. First of all, door closing sound. Yeah, really solid, sounds nice. Inside materials then, here all soft touch. If you have SensorTech seats, this all will be also SensorTech here. If you have the animal skin seats, it's also animal material on the inside of the doors. Then these are the so-called comfort seats with animal skin surface. However, new with the 5 Series facelift are new highly, high quality SensorTech seats, and they show the same kind of quilting here, just a little bit different styling. And the SensorTech, the new one, we showed you here in the black sport seats, so available for the normal seats and for the sport seats. The sport seats standard for the US, available in black, beige and brown, and they are really cool. They even feel better than these comfort seats we have here. I mean, all the seatings for the 5 Series are basically comfortable. These seats are also comfortable, but I really had like the head-to-head comparison, and the new SensorTech material, which is like really like highest quality grade, even feels better and softer than this, highly costly intensive option. And the SensorTech seats are not too expensive, and it looks like this. For example, in Europe, we get the base seat with fabric and also with the 3-color SensorTechs. Then the sport seat, which would be standard in US, option in Europe, would be available with fabric and microfiber mix in Europe, but also in the 3-color SensorTech. And then for the US also the beige, black and brown SensorTech. And they really have this perforation that they're also more breathable. Really cool. The seating position itself, typical for this segment here in the sedan. Again, comfortable steering wheel, electric control right here. And with one with 86 or 6 with 1, still leaves some headroom, although here a little bit limited with the panoramic roof. You can have a little bit more headroom when you leave it out. It's not too big actually, but it's also bringing some light in the interior. And here you can see these BMW wings for this classic design here in the middle part. Really beautiful how this is done. Still one of my favorite design features. Interior overview. New with the 5 Series facelift is more digitalization, infotainment system upgrades. It would still start for a base 5 Series with a 5.1-inch small screen with analog instruments. On the right side, 10.25-inch screen. That is also new as standard now. But here, either optional normal 5 Series or standard for this 550i model, 2 times 12.3-inch left and right. BMW Live Cockpit Professional. However, both the small and the big screen here on the right now come with the OS 7 BMW operating system. So that also then features not only Apple CarPlay but also Android Auto and both wireless. Zoom more details to the screens. Rest of the interior here with a decor element, different stylings available here in a sporty style for the M550i. Soft touch dashboard is available in a sensor tech. Then you have the manual volume knob here still. Cool manual climate unit with a digital screen here. This of course, yeah, is quite fancy, but most important that you can control the temperature here still with the manual knob, so it's easy to do that still while driving. And also ionization of the air here comes with the 5 Series. In the lower part here, also again welcome alternative to black piano lacquer, inductive charging pad for your phone, adaptive cup holders, then the typical 8-speed automatic gearbox, converter gearbox of course. And here, as you know, not only via touch this control, but also with the control knob pressing and so writing on it for addresses possible. But you also have the new voice input here. Then the driving modes, adaptive suspension here. Sport mode will be a little stiffer, comfort mode more comfortable, and also it's one button basically. You have good feedback also acoustically and so on. Then there's this split armrest right here, opens like this, and then there's USB-C charging now with this facelift, whereas USB-A charging would be in the front. Steering wheel, this is here the M version with thicker grip right there, shifting pedals. Right side for the volume and for the voice input if you don't want to say hey BMW, but just want to click this button. This can sometimes be more, just quicker. And heated steering wheel, the button is here when you have that option. Left side then for the cruise control. Major assistance systems upgrade also for the 5 Series for better lane keeping assist and so on. And in traffic, and there you change the mode if you just want the normal cruise control or also, really keeping the lane. Instruments, here we have the one of the 540i or Titanic blue car, and then also the rear corresponding color is shown on the interior. We have the instruments of this car here. We drive today because here we can also start the engine, and then we can show you that on the left side you have the speed, and on the right side then you have the power output, and you can even better see that here in the sports gauges where you have the RPMs, and if Michelle revs it up a little bit, yay, like this, they can also see it right there. And in the middle part you would also get GPS information if you have a destination set. Yeah, a lot of options still left. For example, the head-up display then, and it's always good to have it all in your line of sight. Infotainment system, if the map here it does flicker a little bit on camera, that's just on camera, not on, for human eye. Really responsive, this map, so they really kept up the hardware. So many times we see manufacturers now evolving more software, but they're not keeping up with the hardware, but here it's really very well done. Easy menu structure as well, so an easier menu structure, I think, if compared to Mercedes. Here once again, nice visualization, ambient lighting in blue below that. You can also activate some sport displays with the G-Force meter. The Apple CarPlay integration, Android Auto now also available here for the OS 7, really all the way all over the screen. Pretty cool. And actually this optional Harman Kardon sound system is doing a phenomenal job. Of course, in this segment, if you buy the top sound system, you do expect it. But this one has a really deep and rich sound. I can just enjoy that all the time. Rear view camera, if the image is flickering a little bit, by the way, just on camera, not in real life. And here you can see the helping lines, and also the camera or the image changes a little bit according to the steering input. And also have the fake drone from above in this highest, most sophisticated trim. You can see here the color of the exterior resembles also from this visualization. So this detail is nicely done. And when I go back, it looks like this.
Of course, rear view camera has to be mandatory standard in US models now, but also a more simple rear view camera, and then the sophisticated one with the round view is an option in most markets. Here then also with the front view camera that switches then when we go to the front, we don't hit anything in the front, so a good camera system overall. And also with reversing, parking assistant and so on, automatic parking is all possible meanwhile.
Now to the rear seating, and let me show you here, this car is also equipped with the extra of the soft close. Magic. So, and then inside of door in the rear, also high build quality. BMW really stepped up the game in interior build quality over the past years especially. And you see that in this segment here, it's a long sedan, but you don't have too much space. Of course, enough space for 4 tall adults. The middle tunnel is quite large here for, it's either rear-wheel drive model, of course, or optional all-wheel drive. When you have the 5 Series in general, USB-C charging now 2 times in the rear, and more sophisticated climate unit in general for the rear. So here, legroom-wise, there's still, enough room left. But considering the package, the length of the vehicle, that's not ideal, so to speak. Here with the sedan, you also have enough headroom because here it's like lower, but then it raises a little bit to the rear. If you want a little bit more headroom, the Touring, the Estate version, if it's available on your market, then you also have a little bit more headroom. But for tall adults, again, 1.86 or 6'1", it still does work. This is also a rear seat entertainment. If it's that useful is the other question, the built-in system. If the maps here flicker, by the way, on camera, it's just on camera, not on, for the human eye. This is basically mirroring what's happening in the front, or you can choose the things yourself. But I think meanwhile, everyone just uses your own iPad or smartphone, right? And also for crash safety, I'm not really sure if that's ideal right here. But, reasonable and comfortable seating position here in the rear. As for the middle seat, because of that large middle tunnel, there's CD changer here in the rear, by the way. The middle part is not the most comfortable one, and also headroom might would come very close. So, yeah, rather recommended here for 4 tall Ls, not for 5. And then you can also use this armrest here. There are adaptive cup holders, somewhat. Another cubby hole right there. Is it? It's not. Strange. Usually you can also open this part here, but obviously not possible here. That's a surprise. But there's a ski hatch like this. An interior sidekick here with our other car, the 540i today, but this is not really connected. I wanted to show the bright styling here with the beige color. This is also the animal skin surface. However, the beige color also available with the new Centertech seats. And to me, that would be my favorite color combination. Blue on the exterior and the beige on the interior. And again, cool that it's also possible with the new Centertech perforation. So I will probably then go for this. As for the trunk, electric hatch here and 530 liters of capacity. Let me put it in the backpacking side. You can see that very well fits, no problem. If you would have a plug-in hybrid version of the 5 Series, it would be a little bit reduced in the height then, but here you have no problem as for the height. And then you can also fold the seats. You release them in the lower part and then, either push it through with your luggage or go to the rear compartment and fold them like this. So, of course, if you want more flexibility here, length is no problem, but more flexibility in the height and the loading in and out, then you could go for the Touring if a Touring is available in your market.
Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge, BMW 5 Series Facelift 540i. Either available with rear-wheel drive or with all-wheel drive with the X-Drive. We have the X-Drive here, and I already have the engine warm now, so I can directly start an acceleration. Never do like fast acceleration when the engine is cold, of course, to keep the engine alive long term. And I'm really interested in how is this rear-wheel biased. When I accelerate out almost from standstill. Yeah, really nice. So even if you have the all-wheel drive, still a strong rear-wheel bias. That's really nice, so you don't lose this, base rear-wheel characteristic. Of course, the pure rear-wheel drive will always be a little bit, sportier in the driving. But then again, the X-Drive has better acceleration figure. So, sports mode, you can also go in the sport traction mode right here. because then when we accelerate from standstill, it's 5.2 versus 4.9 seconds to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour because the all-wheel drive just has more traction. Plop, that's 100 kilometers or 60 miles an hour. That was the launch control. Here, manual shifting mode, putting it to the left side. Sport traction mode, that's also okay when the road is dry here. And really impressive acceleration, so, and harmonious as well. This is really better and faster with the all-wheel drive. And of course, if you accelerate it out and you have somewhat of a wet road, then it's also safer with the all-wheel drive. The 5 Series in general, with this adaptive suspension, such a superb ride. This adaptive suspension does not let you miss any air suspension. So one of the very rare cars where you say like, what advantage would an air suspension give me? Here you have great comfort and sportiness at the same time. In the normal comfort mode, the car is indeed a little bit more comfortable, and in the sport mode, stiffens up the suspension also a little bit. And we have 19-inch wheels here mounted, and even though with the 19-inch wheels, still a really great rolling comfort with this adaptive suspension. And let me put it to the sports mode once again. Throttle input is being increased. Great steering characteristic, also a precise and natural feeling. And here now, getting on the motorway, really good, and the handling is just superb. I mean, it's a big sedan, and it feels just as it would be smaller and more agile. Really awesome. Now on the motorway, wow, the 6-cylinder engine is just awesome, No matter if you drive it rather calmly or if you accelerate it out, it gives you such a sovereign driving feeling here. Really amazing. And the rear axle steering, by the way, is a great addition to the BMW 5 Series. If you can afford that option, you should go for that. Reduces turning circle, has more agility than at lower speeds, and gives you more stability at higher speeds. About 3 degrees, the rear axle can turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels at lower speeds, and higher speeds it steers in the parallel direction, and always adds some more agility to the driving, definitely. Then here it's also a great motorway vehicle, comfort mode, and then we rather roll, distance control or the assisted driving. Assistance systems have been upgraded, and then it's supposed to keep your hands on the steering wheel all the time. This is just demonstration purposes here now, that the lane is being really very kept in the center, and after a while, when I don't have my hands on the steering wheel, I need to touch it. So that was already enough. So this capacitive sensor here now, really very sensitive. So once again, I can show it to you here now, like this. This is already enough that the car knows Thomas is still here. So cars that do not have this function yet, then you need to have a turning input on the steering wheel. This can be annoying at times and giving you some false positives. So here, just keeping your hands on the steering wheel will be enough, definitely. Now once again to the sports mode, and this is here once again the inline 6-cylinder, 120 kilometers an hour. So about 70 miles an hour. Let's go. $180. Yeah, almost 200 kilometers, almost 125 miles an hour. So already when you are at speed and accelerate further out, it's just amazing. So it doesn't let you miss an 8-cylinder performance-wise. So to me, probably the best engine that BMW is building at this moment. So performance-wise, nice sound, of course, a little bit enhanced here on the interior because it's so well insulated. But also from the exhaust, you have a decent sound from the exterior. And this engine feels so right for this vehicle, exactly like, the right horsepower and displacement figure and so on. The 8-cylinder, in the M550i is really strong, and of course has a better sound and so on. But then when you think about, you're not doing the performance runs all the time. So you also think about efficiency, then the 6-cylinder really plays a more major role. And talking about that, we can go to the comfort mode then back right there, and then we can reset the consumption values. Now it's reset. And when we just put it to cruise control here now, about 120 kilometers an hour, And then we can find out, like what's the somewhat minimum consumption, Sometimes it goes a little bit uphill, sometimes a little bit downhill here. And I mean, I've been driving this engine here in a lot of different BMW models. So in the X5, for example, I could quite easily score some like 9 liters on 100 kilometers with this engine. That's a little bit less than 30 mpg US and a little bit less than 40 mpg UK. But here then with the 5 Series and also with mid-size, like 3 Series, 4 Series, you can score some 7 liters on 100 kilometers. And that's like 30 plus mpg US and 40 mpg UK. And that's totally reasonable for a car of that size. And this horsepower output, definitely. More efficient would be just the inline 6-cylinder diesel. So that one is also doing a great job fuel economy wise. However, with these new particle technologies and so on, both get of course petrol and diesel engine, especially in Europe. But with enhanced filtering, the diesel advantage has been diminishing bit by bit. That was my experience from all the car tests. Blind spot monitor, and it flashes also when I set the turning indicator. So blind spot monitor really useful because the bead pillar is quite thick right here. And once again, you also heard it when I was driving at really high speeds. The noise insulation is superb in this vehicle. Lane change, once again, a lot of fun. Of course, you feel you're moving a lot of weight in comparison to the smaller 4 Series or the 3 Series, the mid-size segment. Here then 5 Series, 6 Series, more towards this full-size segment. You just move more weight, and this on the one hand gives you more calmness and serenity just when driving straight. On the other hand, then a little bit less agility when going left and right and slalom alike. So there's always the question, what do you want and what size do you need, and what about parking spots and so on. Oh, Z4, what is it, like a 20i, right? Yeah, so the base 4-cylinder also works with the Z4. Sometimes it's better to go for a smaller engine, can be, not always, because you have then less weight on the front axle. And to me, it also feels like here when we compare the 6-cylinder and the 8-cylinder here with the 8-cylinder you also have more weight on the front axle, and just for like going left and right, it can be better than to have the smaller engine. And the same also counts for the Z4. The Z4 feels more balanced with the 4-cylinder than with the 6-cylinder. But of course, the 6-cylinder is really cool, And to me, the thing is really, once again, 7 liters or 100 kilometers. This 6-cylinder to me is really a perfect mix. Same goes also for the suspension, So suspension and the engine here is to me the perfect mix of sportiness and comfort. And in this case also not necessarily less efficient than the 4-cylinder engine, The fuel economy figures, if you drive it like calmly, will not be that different with a 3 Series 2-liter 4-cylinder or so. Maybe a little bit less. You can draw like something 6 to 7 liters, but not a major difference, so to speak. Once again, a lot of fun with the lane changing here. And this is the thing. This is not. It's an M Sport model, but it doesn't have like a special adaptive suspension sport setup. It's just normal adaptive suspension, and this car is just a joy to ride. And no matter if you have the all-wheel drive or the rear-wheel drive, here it doesn't make a big difference when being on the motorway. It's more like when you accelerate out of the corners, the rear-wheel drive will be even more rear-wheel biased. But again, since they kept this rear-wheel biased setup in the all-wheel drive version, if you feel safer when having the all-wheel drive, if you want more performance, actually better acceleration, or if you think about winter conditions, or you live in a US state or in a country in Europe where you have a lot of like snow action and so on, then the all-wheel drive of course makes sense. Other than that, you'll also be just fine with a 540i rear-wheel drive, and maybe also save some money also. A lot of extras here, of course, also in this vehicle, so you always have to think about what's really worth it. But the facelift changes here with bigger infotainment, it's good to see while driving. Assistance systems upgrade, they are really flawless. So BMW at the moment also offering one of the best and most flawless assistance systems. Also the semi-autonomous functions are I would say at the moment probably the best with BMW indeed overall from the whole automotive industry. Why? Because I feel they have it, I mean, there are hardly any, mistakes like these false positives that they say like, wait a minute, that wasn't right now. So I almost never experienced that with the BMW. And at the same time, they're not that, annoying and intrusive. So most of the time, you can drive this car in a sporty way, no problem, even though you have everything activated. For example, recent Volkswagen vehicles, also like the worst example is the Touareg, where you have it that you either drive with the lane keeping assist on and let the car lead you, or when you want to drive yourself, you have to deactivate it, otherwise you're getting nuts. So, but here, it's actually totally fine. You can leave all the assistance systems activated and you're still fine with driving or steering the car yourself if you actually want that. Oh, there's another BMW in front of us also, already with the trapeze style tips in the rear. Not that clean though, as our Phytonic blue car right here. Also nice with the blue ambient lighting right here. And once again, coming to a standstill, and the car is really all the way silent. Looking at the good efficiency factor. When I want to change temperature here, it's easily done also while driving, for example. And of course, you can use more of this voice activation system. So what we, for example, did is when we have these press vehicles in Germany, usually the infotainment system is set to German. And then we want to internationalize it and show you also like English language in the infotainment, and we just say like, hey BMW, set language to English, and that's it. And we did like a hard test. So we did that actually while connecting the smartphone wireless to Apple CarPlay, basically interrupting the system, giving the voice input and telling that to change the language, and it still worked flawlessly. That was really nicely done. Thanks for that idea, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much. So, and by the way, like changing the system language. So last time I tried it with the MBUX at Mercedes, this didn't work. However, the MBUX at Mercedes can do some other stuff than here, what this one here cannot do. So they are both at the moment from the classic manufacturers among the best. But then we meanwhile know, seeing the Polestar 2 with the native Google integration, this beats everything then, and then like the billions and billions of dollars and euros the classic manufacturers invested are like, what for, That's the tough thing to swallow. However, we have a very good infotainment system here, even though the Polestar 2 has a better one now. So you get along with it very well. The voice input is good. And for example, I'm not sure if the activation word is set at the moment. Let's see. Hey BMW. Hello BMW. Maybe not. Hello BMW. So sometimes they haven't activated the the activation word, and you can also individualize it. You can say like, hey Sarah, if you want to call the car Sarah, that would also work. What always works is when you press the the button at the steering wheel. Drive me to BMW Garching. Not sure if they like my German.
All right. Our next destination is AHG Entertainment MDL there AHG.
Okay, that didn't work so well. Yeah. So you see, it doesn't always work what you want to do, but most of the time the voice input, especially for the GPS, works. But the good thing is, we don't edit like stuff like this out. We're all authentic here for you. That's why we also leave it in. So not always correct the GPS input than with the voice input, but it's getting better and better, and it's definitely a helpful solution that can reduce some stress while driving. Definitely put on these sport displays here for you. Why not? And now countryside driving, really relaxed. Again, this adaptive suspension, to me, one of the best suspensions there is on the market at all. Taking all air suspension and so on. I mean, it is somehow floating and soft at the same time. You have a sporty feedback. I would just leave the car in the comfort mode all the time, no problem. Here, by the way, here in the comfort mode, when you do some slalom, thank you so much, speed limit change, yes. You see the car does tilt a little bit. You can also get the anti-tilt control, which is not in this vehicle here. You can get it for the M550i, for example. It's not really necessary, but it's a cool sporty thing to have. However, if you're here in sports mode, again, gears are turned up higher, gauges change, and went up to 80 kilometers now once again. And when you then go right and left, you have a little bit more feedback, and then actually the car doesn't shake up that much. However, still in a very comfortable note. If you want it stiffer, M550i has the M setup then for the adaptive suspension. It's so silent, 100 kilometers or at 60 miles an hour, you hardly realize that at all because it's so silent. And again, to me, the 5 Series, if you want a comfortable ride, one of the best cars there's on the market. Indeed, internal competition also from the BMW X5 if you want a more upright seating position. And of course, in Mercedes E-Class is also an awesome ride, and Audi A6 as well. So yeah, there's also this strong internal German competition, no doubt. But here with the facelift, good changes infotainment-wise. The new Sensatec seats are even more comfortable than the seats we are on here. Tested that one as well. So this is also pretty cool. You know, when it's get a little bit narrow, you see here the steering wheel doesn't have to be turned that much. Quite progressive input. And again, they kept a very natural driving feeling with this steering here. So that's also one of the cool things. So, but we have to also admit, with the facelift here of the 5 Series, yeah, exterior tweaks, most in the interior with the Sensatec seats and the new infotainment upgrade. The driving has not been changed that much with the facelift. Some tweaks here and there, but it has been good before, of course. And the engines here, we know when with new eco technologies, particle filters and so on, you're not missing any performance.
And now to our conclusion for today with the BMW 5 Series facelift here today with the sedan special and looking at the 550i versus the 540i. The M performance model, of course, even sportier in design, and basic difference is 8-cylinder versus either 6-cylinder or then also 4-cylinder for a base 5 Series. However, in the styling here, since we have the M Sport package today for the 540i, you can make this one already really sporty looking. And then the question is, do you want the chrome frame around the double kidney? Are you on the M Performance model with the cerium grey? Or do you pick the shadow lining with the black frame around? That really depends then on your liking. But definitely a sportier styling for the 5 Series. Not too drastic changes, more with the horizontal lamps in the front and the horizontal tail lamps. This is the main exterior difference. Interior, more digitalization. Good that you have the newest operating system by BMW, even as standard, and then optional this 2x 12.3 inch setup. That's, biggest digital change. And of course the new Sensatec seats, which we did not have today, but we have shown that to you already in another episode. We also did the overlay pictures and so on. So the new Sensatec seats, they are really striking, more sustainability and more animal friendly, of course, and even a gain for the customer, because at a very decent price or even standard in the US, you can get a high luxury seat, soft and also breathable due to this perforation. So overall, I think really useful changes here with the BMW 5 Series facelift, and driving here today the inline 6-cylinder, really cool, one of my favorite engines, not only from BMW but overall on the market. If you think about the classic ICEs, this one here with a good fuel economy if you like, but still at the same time at a good performance ratio as well. If you want to also see a driving review of the new M550i, please leave us your comments. We already have a pre-facelift review of that one, but maybe you're interested also to see it facelifted in driving. Was not possible yet, but of course we can do it at a later stage. Thank you so much for tuning in today. See you next time.